Hello guys, welcome to Java Full Stack Development video blog series, and my name is Harshith, and today we are going to discuss about the topic scrollable updatable result set object in JDBC and also transaction management in JDBC. So let's start. Scrollable result set. Scrollable result set means that once the result set object has been created, we can traverse through fetched records in any direction, forward or backward, as we like. Which means generally the result set which we create using the prepared statements and general statements or using the methods execute query. The result set which we obtain is not scrollable, which means we can't traverse through. But scrollable result set is a type of result set which we can uh, in the result set we can traverse through the both directions, forward and backward, as we like, which in any direction which we want. So, and also this provides the ability to read the last record, first record, next record, and the previous record also. So there is an important point which we want to remember, that is scrollable result set object is the result of the execution of execute query method, which can be obtained through the instance of statement or prepared statement. Okay, but that type of result set object which we want to create must be explicitly declared to the statement object through defined scroll type constants. Means the output of the scrollable result set can be obtained to the execute query, and which is an instance of statement or prepared statement. But the type of the scrollable result set object when we want to create, which we must create it through the statement object only. And this can be constrained, or we have defined scroll type constraints which give different features for it. So let us see through it. So there is a type of defined constraints for the type or the result set dot type underscore forward underscore only. So this is the general type in which we traverse through the updatable result set in the forward direction only. Results next type is result set dot type underscore scroll underscore insensitive, which enables us to traverse in both the directions, generally back and forward. But the result set which we get is insensitive to the updates which we want to make to the result set. Next, result set dot type underscore scroll underscore sensitive, which is similar to the above which we have discussed, but here we can enable back and forward, but the changes which we want to make to the result set will be sensitive to the result set. Next, updatable result set. So updatable result set means creating an updatable result set means that the record it points to is not only be traversable but also be updatable. The changes will immediately be persisted in the database and reflected by the result set object in the real time. Here, the updatable result set which we get, which is not only traversable, which must be also be updatable. That means that we must be able to make changes in it, and the changes which we make will be immediately persisted in the database and also will be immediately reflected by the result set object in the real time. So from this we can understand what updatable result set means. Then updatable result set is particularly useful when we want to update certain values after doing some comparison by traversing back and forth through the fetched records. So we get the records by using the method execute query, and generally when we want the situations we want to update the result set is when we traverse back and forth through the result set which we obtained, and when we notice some changes, then only we want to update those changes, right? So the process of creation is similar to the scrollable result set, but the result set constants used here are different from the scrollable result set constants. Here we have two types, two constants which we use. One is type scrollable sensitive, which is like we can traverse front and back, and also is sensitive to the changes which we want to make to the result set. Here it will take the changes, and the conquer updatable method is the method where the changes will happen. You can understand, right? So the process will go like this. So we will make a result set with the constant of type underscore scroll underscore sensitive, which takes consideration of the changes, and conquer underscore updatable will make the changes in the database, and it will reflect the changes to the result set object in the real time. So next we will discuss on the topic transaction management in the JDBC. So what is transaction? Transaction represents a single unit of work. There are two types of properties, asset properties and base properties. Here we are going to discuss the asset properties because it describes the transaction management well. So ACID stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability. Atomicity means either all transactions which we are doing are successful or not. Generally when we create a database, we want the transactions to be successful rather than having 50-50 or 70-30 or 80-20 percentage or probability of a transactions getting successful. So consistency next. Consistency ensures bringing the database from one consistent state to another consistent state. And this generally occurs when we normalize the database. When we normalize the structure of the database, we want to change it from one consistent state to the another consistent state, but not converting it from or changing it from bringing it from one consistent state to inconsistent state, which is not good. Next, isolation ensures the transaction is isolated from one another transaction, which means neither two or three transactions are occurring at the same time, which impacts the transaction which we want to do. It ensures one transaction occurred after another. Durability means once a transaction has been committed, it will remain so even in the event of power errors or power loss, which means that we have committed the changes to the database, but during the commission of the changes to the database, there are certain events occurred like the power loss or due to some errors. We must get a stable, consistent commission of the database which we have done previously. There should not be any data loss to the already committed database, which defines the term durability of the transaction. Next, we will see how the transaction happens. Initial state, then we will have a transaction. When we commit, if it is committed, we will get transaction succeeded. When we use rollback is when we have a transaction which results fail, which occurs as a failure, then we will roll back to cancel the transaction which we have done, like the failure transaction which we have done. When we use rollback, that failure transaction will be cancelled. So advantage of transaction management is the fast performance it will enable us. It makes the performance fast because database is hit at that time of commit. In JDBC, we have connection method or the connection interface which provides us many methods to manage transactions. So here we have three methods that is void set auto commit with argument boolean type, and another is void commit, and another is void rollback. Let's generally learn the description and then we'll go into the deeper meaning of it. So void set auto commit, it is generally true by default, means each transaction is committed by default. When we use this method for every transaction, the database is committed. Next, void commit, it commits the transaction, means when we use this, the single transaction where about the commit this commit method will be committed, not the whole sequence of transactions. right? And void rollback, it cancels that and it cancels the transaction which we committed before. So this is how we will manage the transactions in the JDBC. So thank you for listening and goodbye.